all those rock and roll weirdos, the people that used to make life so much fun. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. It'd be nice to, hang on. This looks interesting.
1, 2, 3, 4. Rock and roll weirdos, rock and roll weirdos, rock and roll weirdos.
Welcome to episode 5 of Rock and Roll Weirdos with special guest
Frank from the Unlovables.
Woo!
Woo! I'm doing a round of applause, like literally. Welcome, Frank. How's it going?
Well, thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on Rock and Roll Weirdos.
Of course.
Our
I
pleasure.
mean, rock and roll weirdo. The first person I thought of was you.
Yeah, I put the weirdo in Rock and Roll Weirdos for sure.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in the Unlovables, the band, and how you got into music. And, well, I'm going to give it away now because I'm basically going to say how you got into playing guitar. So Frank is the guitarist of the band, the Unlovables.
Well, I've always loved music. I started out in the school band playing drums, but getting beyond the snare was a little challenging for me. So a friend of my dad actually gave me one of those old Spanish acoustic guitars, and I started taking lessons with a church lady playing some, old school Americana hymns and things like that.
Wait, what? How? I never heard about this. What?
Yeah, it was like I don't even know the names of those songs, but like This Train is Bound for Glory, that. Like,
That's amazing.
all those kind of I guess you would say gospel-y. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But that's how I started and did that for a few years. And then eventually for Christmas one year, I was a bit of a young metalhead. Got an Ibanez for Christmas, a little metally kind of guitar with EMG pickups and all that. Just too damn lazy to really practice. But I took years of lessons. But, lessons without practice, they don't really add up to much.
Yeah, it's I feel like when you're like young, you don't realize that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the practicing is just like a hassle. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
it was like,
fucking
wait, I actually gotta
annoying.
play this stuff more than once. But
Yeah.
my guy was like a really talented, Berkeley School of Music kind of virtuoso, metal guitarist. I'd bring him all these pop punk songs, and he'd laugh at how dumb the titles were, and a lot of ridiculously simple for him. But I'd watch him try to break them down because anything's hard if you're not really familiar with the way some of that stuff's played. He was playing a totally different style, so.
Definitely. Even I feel like when you talk about like simple in general, even with like songwriting, I feel like I used to have a really hard time like keeping it simple and in the past pitching it to whatever, and they people being like, this is great, but like we could like make it a little more simple, and I always had such a hard time with that. I'm like, what? You don't want a crazy melody that and then we're changing keys here? That's too, you can't understand, but
Yeah, and he was used to very complex multi-layered music, and here I'm bringing him like Ramones songs and
that's awesome.
and even some weird, and he would always make up a funny title like he thought was hilarious. If the song was called "Fool for You," by All, he would write on the sheet music, "You're a fool," or something. Just little things like that. He thought the music was so dumb that he was just for him, it was I can't believe I'm getting paid for this.
That is so funny. I had a guitar teacher like that too, and he was he would literally talk down to me for not practicing. And he'd be playing all this these really fast scales. He's like, you know what? 5 hours a day I practice in the mirror, 5 hours a day. And in my head I was I was in high school and I'm like, this guy is the biggest loser.
Oh my God.
Who has time
was he at
to
a music store? Did he come to your house?
It was a music store.
Oh,
A local one in Long Island. And I had this one guy was just so I used to bring him. I mean, listen, I was pushing, I would bring him Led Zeppelin stuff, and then he'd be expecting me to practice, and I'm like, what? And then I'm like, well, how come I haven't learned the song yet? And he's like, why aren't you practicing at home? And I'm like, shit is crazy. And then I just stopped going to lessons, and I found out about tablature and learned Beatles songs and stuff like that, so it's maybe lessons aren't always the way. I guess you can learn the basics and then kind of,
Were you guys young because I picked up the bass when I was like 20. So
I
by the
think like 18, 17 when I was
Oh,
actually
okay.
trying to learn the metal guitar.
So not that far off.
I was
Maybe.
like 14.
You were really?
13, 14.
Because I feel like it makes a difference when you're a kid and you're getting lessons. Like when you're almost 21 or whatever and you're getting lessons, I feel like the teachers have a little more like respect. Well, still respect, but even saying that, I was still going up with songs and being like, oh, I want to do this like, Rancid song or something. And
Yeah.
But it was funny. My bassist he was mad cool. His name was Johnny Fleury.
Wasn't he in a like band that we saw their music video?
He
or
was,
something?
yeah. Oh my gosh, he's the bass player in it'll come to me, but yeah, he played the bass.
You can't even remember.
I can't. No, I love the song. Oh, Greg Johnson, Don't Wait Another Day, I think it is. But he was like so advanced, and so I'm probably coming in and being like, oh, I want to learn like Give It Away by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but he wasn't a Chili Peppers fan, so he was like that Blood Sugar Sex Magic album. He's like blew me away, like the bass and stuff. But
and then he was like, "You're not worthy."
But he had like, he had like a Chapman stick. I don't even know if you guys have seen those. So
yeah, they're really creepy looking.
Yeah, it's like guitar and bass on the same thing.
And there's no frets, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of like you play it. I don't know. It looked like some kind of like deranged harp or something. And but it was always that thing where he's like, it's great because you can do the guitar and now you can do the bass. And I'm just like, wow, that looks really complicated. Like.
Oh, so it has all the strings like on one neck or two necks?
Oh, I've only seen the like single neck one.
I mean, in a way, you could just have a guitar and a bass. I guess if you don't want to like put one down and then pick it up again.
I think it would, coming from I used to like a lot of hair metal bands, and there was always the double.
Oh yeah.
Double necked guitar bass, and some guys would spin it around their, some spindle on their waist or something. I don't know how they did it, but looked amazing. I was hooked.
That's awesome. And when did you start playing with bands?
I put up some ads in music stores and had a couple of really fake bands with people around 18 or 19, but never played a show out. We would just rehearse all the time. And then I think it was right after September 11th was when the Unlovables I've heard word about, Hallie starting a band. I was already a fan of her other band, Hissy Fits. A friend of mine said, oh, you want to join a band? Because I'd lost my job back then. I was looking for something to do, and I always wanted to be in a band. And so my friend Dan from Dirt Bike Annie, he came over and dropped off the Unlovables demo CDR, whatever.
CDRs.
With some younger guys that she had recorded with, I think. I just kind of picked that up and tried to learn it for the next practice. Had no idea what I was doing, but as they like to say, I never left. I just kind of showed up for practice and kept going.
That's awesome. And then all the other were any of the people that you guys play with now, or at least recently? I know you guys haven't played in a little bit, but are any from like the beginning, or was that beginning you and
No, I mean Mikey's pretty constant. Mikey Erg.
Yep.
He's been the drummer almost the entire time. A couple of tours he wasn't available because he's a rock and roll juggernaut in every.
I know he's in like 10 bands, right?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to keep up with him is exhausting. Other than him not, being able to tour a couple of times, he's always been the constant. And then we've had a revolving rotation of other lead guitar players, whoever can be around and have time for us. Because we've never been like a super full-time touring band. We always would tour for like 3 weeks, once every year or so, so it wasn't a huge commitment, but most of our other people in the band always had other projects that would take up a lot of their time. So it was kind of cool during the pandemic, the last couple of years, we did record a song for a compilation. So that was pretty fun.
Oh, that's
awesome. The Unlovables had a little bit of a moment. It was a tribute album to Jack Terrycloth of World Inferno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a lot of cool bands were on that. So it was great to be able to get back in the ring, and that's where I bought a little input device, and we all recorded from our homes and kind of dialed it in.
Awesome. Very cool.
It's crazy what you can do now. You think about 20 years ago, if someone was like, oh, can you just record it at home and just like we'll send it and put it all together? Like you'd be like, what?
Yeah. And there's like bands like the Postal Service, right? Where you're supposed to like mail tapes back and forth to each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
Oh God, that sounds like a
Is that what they? Is
nightmare.
that why they were called the Postal Service?
I thought so. Yeah.
That's great.
Don't
That's
hold
wow.
me to that.
Man, it's
Sorry
like you don't want it
to
to
get-
get lost in the mail. You send your best take, the one copy you have.
Yeah.
They're like, are you going to send the tape? What? I did send it. I sent it last week.
It's gone.
Well, start all over.
Oh man, I didn't. Yeah, I actually never knew that either. Postal Service.
And then it's the return to sender service.
That's a good follow-up band.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Frank, I was going to say, so you started with the Ibanez. Was that, are you like a guitarist that just owns a bunch of a whole lot of guitars, or like did you start on the Ibanez and then kind of move to different
I think the Ibanez, I realized I was never going to be, the next Joe Satriani at any point. So I think that was the fixation. A lot of those guitar gods from the 80s and 90s were Ibanez players, at least, the Steve Vais and all them. So I
Damn,
was like,
I was about to say, oh, you weren't gonna be fucking Stevie Vais or whatever.
yeah. So I think as I realized, well, I think maybe I'm more of a punk rock, garage rock kind of guy. That's when I was like, I think I need a Les Paul, a more, appropriate instrument, and maybe probably sticking to the rhythm guitar would be a little bit more of a natural thing. For me, I got a Les Paul that I use 90% of the time, but then I've got a little collection of I have a Hagstrom, I have a Dan Electro, so kind of like garage rocky kind of.
Do you still have that blue glitter Dan Electro?
Oh, yes, I do.
Let me get it.
Convertible. Oh, yeah. You want it? Sure. Anytime you want to borrow it.
I feel
needs
like
to
I
work.
actually looked recently and they were extremely inexpensive.
I haven't looked recently, but the modern ones are like made in Korea, basically what balls, plywood. So
Yeah.
they're not very expensive. They look really cool. I think if you get the original ones, they're quite expensive from the 60s, I believe.
Yeah. Well, is that the same now? What did you say with Fenders? What are they now made from?
Oh,
It's some new
instead
wood,
of
right?
rosewood, it's like PAU. I never know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like
not using rosewood
Paul
anymore.
Farrow or something, and it's like
Yeah, it's some kind of sustainable environmental wood.
better for the environment and everything. I will honestly say, just from playing one,
Not as much rock and roll.
It's a lighter wood. So I found I was so used to looking at like the darker wood, and like I still will look for the fret markings like to figure out where I am. I felt like because the wood was lighter, it just made it a little harder to see, to be honest. Like if it was kind of dark, because it's
Whatever.
more like light brown and then the black spots, so you know where you
Kind of
are.
blends in more with the fret markers.
Yeah, the white ones. I mean, I guess now they're kind of like, look, if you want the premium rosewood, get the USA
Oh,
made in
are
America.
the USA ones still made
Yeah,
with rosewood?
yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you were saying they
It's
changed
just like
all
the
of them.
starter
It
ones.
might be like reclaimed rosewood or something like that, right?
Something like where I guess it costs more, like, or you can still get it, but so then they couldn't provide that for like the entry level, like the made in Mexico ones. Because I've never owned a USA made in America P bass. I've always done the made in Mexico, and
Me too,
I've
with the
had-
Strat and Telly.
I had 3. I mean, this is my
Your Fender family.
yeah, we're in the family. But Abby, you had your Daisy Rock. That sounded
Oh
great.
yeah, I had the Daisy Rock. That one was actually really cool, and for such a reasonably priced guitar, it sounded
You were sponsored by
awesome.
them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A while ago, but yeah, I actually, it's so funny because I was supposed to pick out a guitar. I never even got one from them. My mom had one because she was taking lessons, and I just took hers. I'm like, this is mine now. So she had this hot pink glitter one, and I was like, this is the coolest guitar I've ever seen. And she was kind of, she also bought herself a Strat, a Mexican Strat, so she would learn on that, and she had an acoustic as well. So I was like, Ma, you don't need this, right? And like most things, and she was like, nah, you can have it. But I liked it because it had that I feel like it has that thicker sound. I love the Telly and Strat, but Telly's definitely more twangy. Strat just sounds thinner. and
Yeah.
obviously with the distortion pedal and pedals effects, you can make anything sound like kind of whatever you want these days. But I felt like the Daisy Rock really like it reminded me of kind of a Les Paul sound, but it wasn't so fucking heavy. Those Les Pauls, it's like you're holding a bowling ball. No?
Oh yeah, I can't stand up with mine anymore. It's too
It's
weighty.
why
I don't
are
know.
they so heavy? And they're not even like big. They're just like
It's
so
just the
heavy.
density of that, mahogany. It's a heavy wood. I mean,
Yeah.
the size of the neck just felt natural to me, so I just gravitated toward them.
I love the sound of a Les Paul. Like, sound is just like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
so good.
it's
It
right
is.
into the amp. It sounds great. I don't have to do a lot with it. I don't even have an amp anymore, in the apartment at least. They're all at my mom's, so I'm usually just strumming unplugged around here. I got a guild a couple of years ago for my birthday, like a vintage guild.
Oh, nice.
That's usually my go-to, like strumming guitar.
There's
Oh yeah, what was the amp that
I was just
Brad
gonna drop
was
in
just telling us?
Brad from episode 4.
So our
alumni.
last guest was the editor in chief of Guitar World for 25 years, and he's also an amazing
An esteemed author.
author. Yep, he just actually, I don't know if you've seen the most recent cover of Guitar Player magazine, but he did an interview with Keith Richards for that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he actually is working with
Spark.
Spark.
They're
Have you
called
heard of them?
Spark amplifiers. And
I've heard the name, but I don't know much about them.
he was saying it's like the #1 practice amp on Amazon, I think.
Yeah.
And from everything he told us, we were just like,
Keith Richards uses it.
Keith Richards uses it in his green room, like to get started. And I think Joe Satriani, he said used one as well.
Yep.
What did you call him before, Abby?
Who?
Joey someone?
Joey
Oh,
Chestnut?
Oh, I
Stevie
thought. Oh, that was Steve Vai. Oops.
Joey. What?
I had a bit of a short circuit in my brain there. Sorry, I've corrected the error.
I love Joey Chestnut's guitar playing skills. What he can do with a hot dog and a Les
Oh,
Paul.
man. That's it.
Joey Chestnut.
Wait, what's that guy's name? Santorini?
I want to.
Joe Santorini. I think that's a tour guide in Greece. No, it's Satriani.
I want Joey Chestnut. Imagine if he was in a hardcore band and like it's
Oh
just
my
some guy
God.
screaming next to him, and while he's eating the hot dogs, and like they keep turning the red lights up.
That's the music video.
Oh, I think you got to get some AI on that tonight. Make it happen.
Oh my God.
I think it was about a month ago. Did you guys notice all of the AI hardcore singers that were created?
No.
It
Oh,
was like
those
all
like
these
the
people that
images.
shouldn't be fronting hardcore.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah,
Danny
yeah.
DeVito and like.
Steve Harvey one was my favorite.
Oh, I didn't see
He
that.
was like a
one.
really natural screaming into a mic.
Yeah, it wasn't like Batman. He was like playing the bass or something.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of That's
That
crazy.
shit is weird. I don't know.
I don't trust it, but
No.
The one thing it doesn't get right, like I think Batman was playing the bass, and he had 4 strings,
And
but then
18 fingers.
But then it went up to like
yeah.
5, like or went up to 5 or 6 tuning like not pegs, and everyone's like in the comments, everyone's looked at it. It's like, yeah, whoa, awesome, and then someone's like, whoa. Why are there 4 strings and 6 tuning pegs? And then everyone else said, yeah, and they're having this huge argument. And someone's like, yo, relax. This is just AI or something.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing with AI. It like if you've seen like photos created by AI, and like a lot of them look like models, their fingers and teeth look so messed up. The teeth they'll be like literally like 30
Yeah.
teeth like squeezed in a mouth, and then the fingers, maybe it's like the
I know
not
I can't do hands well.
yeah.
It's challenging.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, why use it then? Wait till you get it right. Right?
There's some people are doing some interesting artwork with it, like the ones where you see like all these weird fake food festivals. It's like cheese fest and everyone's covered with cheese. I think it's Cy the AI guy on Instagram. He's doing some good work out there. But I think he avoids the hands. He keeps it like shoulders and up so it looks
What about
More
teeth? How do you avoid teeth? Closed mouth smiles?
you just cover them with cheese, I guess. I don't know. They all have some weird food festival.
Frank, so what's going on with the Unlovables? Are you guys like playing? Are you guys still playing? Are you guys like going to
We
be?
haven't played I believe it's been 7 years because I just got a Facebook memory of our
Damn.
last tour. Don't think we played another show after that. But you never know. Never say never. And I know
Yeah,
that
lucky number 7.
we'd like to get out there probably for one last show someday. If there's a festival out there, and
Could it
the
be
one
the
that I'm looking
fest?
for.
The fest?
B-Fest would be nice. We've played there several times. So it would be nice to play for a crowd that knows and loves us. And the fest has been kind to us over the years. So that would be cool. Kind of bring it all back home that way.
So that would be the like final. It's the final countdown.
Yeah. I mean, how many final tours has Kiss had or Elton John had?
Yeah. The Eagles, it's the farewell. And then
Yeah.
next year they just call it like another farewell. And then it's like 20 years later, this time it's the last
They're
farewell.
like, man, we're really broke.
Yeah,
We need the
the
money.
final farewell.
Yeah.
So,
Then it's for the 401k farewell tour.
yeah.
I've actually never been to the fest. Would I like it?
You would hate it.
Wait, did you say I would hate it?
I think you would hate it.
I probably would.
It's just a lot of waiting in lines to get into places, or it used to be. I've heard they've improved that stuff. But it's, this band's playing at 2:45, but then after 3:15, we got to go to this other bar. So it's like all different bars and venues in Gainesville, Florida.
So it's almost like a mini South by Southwest, but pop punk.
Yeah. Without the,
Well,
trying to
the
get signed aspect.
and like the street performers or their street performers.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a unique festival in that town is a college town, and to my knowledge, they have a homecoming game. I believe that's what you call it, every year. And so the college kids leave, and then the punks come in. So all the places that would, be like a college bar are suddenly filled with, crusty punks and stuff. So that aspect is kind of cool and kind of unique.
Do the venues have air conditioning?
They have air conditioning. It's good time of year for northern central Florida. It's not super hot, but it's.
I'm like, Abby, that doesn't sound very punk rock. The first question you ask, do you guys have air conditioning?
Well, I'm a special sort of punk rock, okay? So
Yeah.
I'm like, like uniquely punk rock with
Comfort punk.
You
That's
like your
it.
creature comforts.
Yeah.
You're like, do you have any like after dinner mints? And we can just,
I like to
some
call
small
myself
towels.
bougie punk,
That works too.
right?
Bougie punk.
No, I just like I remember going to so many of those shows and they're like just like there's like you're packed in like sardines. It's hot as hell. I feel like when I was younger it was fun, whatever. Now it like just stresses me out. Even when we ran into you and Mikey at La Tigra this summer in July. It was so hot, so crowded. At one point I started panicking. I was like, I'm going up to the balcony. Like, fuck this. It was crazy though. Was it
I
not?
like a good air conditioned show.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like as I get older, that's like the less and less like I can deal with being uncomfortable. But maybe that's just part of getting older. Or maybe that's just bougie punk.
I've been going to a lot of shows in the last 6 months ago. I quit my job. So like I can go to shows now. But I still stay in the back away from everyone, just enjoying the bar. Usually in the back of the room at any venue, there's a bar and
Really? They have bars?
yeah, like at Brooklyn Steel is a bar back there. I don't like being in the crowd anymore. That's part of
No,
being
I get it. I know. It's
I totally
horrible.
get it. I feel like I would rather be playing than watching. Like, it's so much more relaxing playing to me than being in the middle of a crowd. Like, especially now because it's like, like Abby, like you said, it's just like sweaty, like hot people, like jumping.
Why do you have to be playing? Why can't you be in the balcony? Why can't you be in the back? Why does it have to be about you?
I know. I'm just saying, like, personally, I would be more comfortable like on the stage than in the middle of all these like lunatics. You know
what? They took away my pepper spray at that Brooklyn Steel show. I was not happy about that.
Oh no.
Yeah. They were like, you can't bring this in. And I played dumb. And I'm like, oh, I can't? Why not? And the guy just looked at me and started laughing.
How am I going to keep people away in the pit. I can't have my pepper spray. Come on.
Yeah, that kind of crowded. Even where you guys are seeing. You said you and Mikey are going on Sunday to see Ben Queller.
Yeah.
Me and
Yeah.
Paul are gonna go on. We got tickets for Saturday. So at first I got anxious because the last time he was here, or at least the last time I saw him play, he played at Brooklyn Steel. So I was like, oh God, are we going back to that horrible venue? Even though it's not even a horrible venue, it's just like the ventilation is horrible because there's only those side doors. You know what I mean? And then they
I
shut
always
them.
complain about it, but then I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad.
It's not?
Just,
I don't know.
really, I'm like, why do I hate it so much? I mean, the beers are overpriced, sure. $17 beers, not the greatest, but it's still just a big, rock
Yeah.
club. It's good sight lines. It's better than Terminal 5. I guess that should be their motto. Better than at least not Terminal 5.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about like bands you guys have toured with, and do you have any like awesome road warrior stories?
We haven't been on a ton of long tours, so I think our first tour we did with the Ergs. So those are our good friends. We've played some shows with Kepi from the Groovy Ghoulies, Chicks Dig It, and the Queers a couple times as well. And as a matter of fact, I went to Japan with the Queers as a friend of theirs many years ago as well. So that was my real taste of touring before I even was in a touring band.
Wait, so like what did you do? You just like traveled with them?
Yeah, it was just like I think, when you're younger, the world's just your oyster, right? And someone says, "Do you want to go to Japan with us?" And I'm like, I guess so. Joe from the Queers asked me to go as a friend because, back then we were like pen pals, so to speak, write letters to each other and stuff like that.
Love letters?
No love, just
Friend letters.
brotherly, friendly.
Friend letters?
I mean, the kids don't know about letters, but I think he didn't have an email back then. That's how long ago it was. He was like very like committed to the old letter writing, and then he was like, "We're going to Japan with the Mr. T Experience," who was like, one of my all-time favorite bands. So I didn't even tell the Mr. T Experience, which seems weird now, but I just kind of showed up, like, "Hey guys," they were kind of friends of mine, but they're like, "What are you doing in Japan?" I'm like, "I'm coming on tour with you guys." So that was
You're like,
fun
just
little
came to
surprise.
hang.
Yeah.
What an awesome experience that must have been.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, it's a different style of touring by train, which I just remember being so much less stressful, and all the equipment's all taken care of for the bands, which, for smaller bands, that's a really nice, no loading out and loading in. Someone's got the whole place set up, and
Damn, this is why
so
bands
passionate.
This is why bands love touring in Japan. I remember the Muffs would love going there, and they were like, it's amazing. Like,
Yeah, if anybody
they really
could ever
take care of you,
That's-
the bands, right?
yeah, that would be my first on my international dream list of places to play. And I tried many times with the actual. I did make some connections and friends when on that tour. So many years later, tried to plan some Japanese tours with the Unlovables, but it just never. It fell apart a couple times. We got really close. We put out a Japanese version of one of our records.
What? That's
That
awesome.
never happened. The tour never happened. And then this year, 2023, my friends in Italy put out the first Unlovables record, which was never on vinyl. So that was really cool to have an Italian label put out your record. And they put out a lot of punk reissues of more famous bands than my own, but so it's good to be in good company.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Bands like the Fastbacks, and I think they put out a Screeching Weasel record. I don't know. They're doing a lot of reissues of punk records.
You know why, right? Because there's no fucking bands left.
No.
Except for the little scene. But you know what I mean? Like, it's small. It's not.
It's very segmented, I would say. I do like a lot of different types of music and a lot of different punk music, and I always see different people at every show, so it's like my same friends don't always go to the same types of shows. They only support other bands they know and things like that. It seems to be. But then everyone's getting older too, so who wants to go out and stand at a venue
That's
all
true.
night?
I feel like literally all I see are your posts about you going to shows, and I'm like, damn, how does he do it? And this week, me and Paul, I'm going to 3 shows this week.
Three. That's
3. You know, my
Cincinnati
last
record.
show I went to was in July, La Tigra. Before that was not this past October, the one before, Tegan and Sarah. I went to I took my
Wow.
mom. So 3 in 1 week sounds, I actually almost feel a little overwhelmed. I'm like anxious about it. Like, how is this going to work? But,
Yeah,
um,
I'll get in my head about that too. I'm like, wait, three? I gotta stand up for 3 nights. All right. I don't know. There's just been a lot of good music coming to town lately. So
no, I feel like that's true though. I feel like so many bands are coming to town or like, like playing here. If they're like even the Charlie Bliss are playing next week at Baby's All Right, which is like a tiny venue. And
yeah,
that makes me think they're probably getting ready to like go on tour or something. I feel like when a lot of those bands play like the smaller venues, I feel like usually they're like preparing
they're
for.
warming up.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, like Green Day's playing a lot of small
I saw
venues.
that
In
they
New
did one. They
York?
did one in London, right? They
They did one in London. They did
Covent
one in
Garden.
Vegas where they played like a pool hall.
Yeah,
What?
they played
Uh,
like Dookie, right? The whole thing.
mhm. What are the other shows you're going to? Are you
Oh
both
yeah.
going?
So tomorrow I am going. Paul was gonna come with me, but now I'm bringing one of the girls who works with me. I'm going to see John Allison Weiss. Did you ever get into Allison Weiss?
Not like no, I don't know a lot.
Now John Allison Weiss, he. But they will be performing. I think it's the 10-year anniversary from their album called Say What You Mean, which is like, oh my God, the album's so good. It got me through such
Mm,
like hard times.
I'm
And
starting to remember that.
so good. You got to listen to it. If you haven't, it's so freaking good. Every song on it. It's like, and it's like power pop, like very power pop.
So good. Abby put me onto it, and I was just like, oh man, it is so good.
And
Okay.
then Friday we're going to see Paul's friend Jaden's band who's on tour here from New Zealand. They're called Leisure. Have you heard of them?
I've seen the name around.
Yeah, they sold out
So elsewhere,
elsewhere. So they're playing Thursday. They added
two
the
nights.
date Thursday.
And they're from New Zealand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've like been playing like North America. I think they were in Canada
And like LA, weren't they just
this
in
week, and then yeah, LA.
like
It's
killing it?
crazy. Like they're having such a successful tour. It's just like crazy. So Jaden used to be the drummer in my old band in
Oh,
New Zealand
cool.
called Goodnight Nurse. Um, and yeah, but he's gone a whole new, musical direction. It's like very
Their old band was like pop
like
punk.
we were like, yeah, pop punk, and I feel like the new band is like I don't even really know how you describe it. It's very like I feel like it's very like earthy, like
Soul,
good
funky,
vibes, like palm trees and
funky.
Oh,
kind of kind of
it's chill.
funky, almost reggae, chill, kind of definitely. And he's moved from the drums, and he was always doing backups, and now he's like guitar, singing.
Does he sing lead?
I honestly don't know. He's there, he's up there.
He's up there.
You know,
He's on the stage.
We'll find out.
He has a mic.
We'll find out on Friday. But no, I'm stoked for him because I know that's what he was just always wanted to be singing and playing guitar. So, but he's a fucking amazing drummer as well. So it's like,
Oh,
he's like
he's
he's
full
one of
pack.
those guys.
I feel like that's like a Mikey.
Nice. Yeah, he can do it all.
Yeah, right. He writes, sings, drums. Can he play guitar? Yeah,
Oh yeah,
plays everything, right?
does it all really. Yeah. I don't know if he
Damn.
plays piano much, but
I feel like people like
Yes.
that. You just look at them. You're like, seriously? Do you really have to be good at anything you do?
oh yeah, and he's such a natural at it too. I don't, I don't think he reads music or anything. He just kind of you can hear something and just play it instantly.
Wow, that's awesome.
So is New Zealand music having a moment? And I love
I-
me some Beths. I love
Oh
the
yeah,
Beths.
Oh my God, the Beths.
The
Yes, we love the
They're-
Beths so much.
I mean, they are doing insane.
Oh
Like,
my
they're just all over the place.
I feel like there hasn't been a New Zealand band that big since in a long time.
Yeah, like a
Since
band. Like,
Probably you think maybe Crowded House?
I mean, well, it depends. Yeah, I guess it depends. What about? I mean, there's like bands that were huge for a time as well. Like the Datsuns were really big.
Were they from New Zealand?
They were from New Zealand.
Oh, I never knew that. I thought they were British.
I thought I told you they were from New Zealand. Yeah.
You probably did, but I mean, I always, when I mock you, I put on a British accent. So in my head, it's all like kind of morphed into each other, you know?
And then we had, I mean, certain bands, Stereogram. Stereogram had Walkie Talkie Man, which was like on all the Apple ads. And there was a time where like New Zealand music was just pretty much kind of just stuck, relegated in New Zealand. And then now they're kind of
branching out,
you know? How do I get a piece of that action?
Getting out there.
Yeah.
You're branching out in rock and roll weirdos.
I thought, let's turn the format on its head, you know? And also, when we were just talking about like not being bothered going out to live gigs, it's like, hey, what's something creative we can do? And we can like, anyone in the world can listen to it, but we can do it in our apartment. We can do
it in our underwear. I'm
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
in my underwear right now. It's
Without standing in a
beautiful.
crowd.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it's kind of nice. It's like, hey, we still
got it.
Got it.
Did you just
Oh,
say?
I was gonna say, like growing up in New Zealand, did you do a lot of Australian bands come there all the time, or is it kind of like assumed by Americans that the two are some kind of relatively close? So
you're totally right. It's
But don't you guys like hate each other?
I mean, there's like a kind of a friendly rivalry. Like,
Friendly?
I mean, Australian bands will come over. I mean, it's like from Auckland, where I'm from, it's like 3 hours to the, you know, kind of east coast of Australia. Like, you know, that's where kind of the main cities are, like Brisbane and Melbourne, Sydney, and stuff. Yeah, we supported like there's this awesome Australian band called The Living End, and they've been around forever. They were in Green Day, like
they had that one hit, right?
Yeah, I mean, in Australia and New Zealand, they're like, you know, huge. I feel like here, I wonder if I wonder which one they
Wait, what are they called?
broke through with. The Living End.
I keep thinking of him for some reason.
Oh. But like we did a tour with them, and they were awesome. I remember the singer, the guitarist was so good. I mean, because they're like a 3-piece, but like, what's that band called? They're like the Stray Cats. Have you guys heard of them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like they're kind of like that kind of you know, the guy's on the double bass and he's like standing on it.
So
and
like a little like rockabilly.
Yeah, rockabilly. And I remember the guitarist would do this amazing solo where he would like get a beer bottle, like shake it up. He would play the guitar with the beer bottle like a slide, and then he would like shake it up like while he was doing a solo. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. He would do it every night, and I was just always like, this is fucking amazing.
That sounds like a real good way to get electrocuted.
Well, I imagine your guitar is like passive, right? I don't think you have any electricity going into it.
I guess unless you had active pickups.
Yeah.
Like
then you're getting two 9-volt batteries going throughout your body. Which,
exactly, aka electrocution.
Yeah, aka a tickly kind of fun electrocution.
How is that fun? What? Tickly and fun?
A 9-volt battery isn't gonna like. Have you ever put one of those on your tongue? Yeah, it's annoying.
No,
but
why
you're
would
not
I
gonna,
put one of those on my tongue?
See if it's still good.
What do you lick battery acid?
You put a 9-volt battery on your tongue to see if it's good. If it gives you a zap, you know it's good.
Is that
if
a New Zealand thing?
Wow.
It's
I never
dead.
tried it.
Yeah, because otherwise, how do you know if a 9-volt's good or not?
I don't know. It just fucking the pedal won't work.
Well, I guess the pedal could tell you. Yeah, maybe this was before pedals could tell you. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go
Maybe
lick
like,
batteries.
I don't think you should be licking batteries.
Nobody's licking.
Whatever. You eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's it. I could have my bowl of battery cereal.
Oh my god! I can't.
But yeah, no, Frank, you're totally right. Like it's
Okay.
bands do come over and kind of come and go, and like in New Zealand, if you got a tour in Australia, it was a big deal. I don't know
nice.
whether from Australia to. It's funny because Australia going to New Zealand would be like being in a big American band and then like maybe playing in Canada or something. Like
Yeah.
It's still good, but like
Oh yeah.
but
Well,
it's like whereas for a Canadian person to be playing in like New York or something, it would be such
Oh,
a
it's a
bigger
huge
deal.
deal. Totally.
that's
I
so
saw a couple of
fun.
Australian bands a few weeks ago, and saw the Chats, kind of a viral sensation these days, and the Cosmic Psychos, who are an
Man,
older.
I'm so out of the loop. Are they really good? Are they awesome?
Chats are incredible, and the
Wow.
Cosmic Psychos are like their spiritual uncles, let's say. They're an early '80s
Spiritual.
band, so it was kind of like they're having fun going with like their idols on tour. The Chats were having a good time with things, and
That's cool.
yeah,
That's
it's
so
always good to
cool.
play with your idols sometimes, I guess, if they're nice.
Yeah.
Where did you
Cosmic,
see them?
at the Knockdown Center in Queens. A lot of bands are playing there these days.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen bands playing there, and I'm like, what is that? It's just a venue?
It's a huge warehouse. It's quite nice looking venue, kind of in the middle of a bunch of car lots and tire, repair shops and things like that. And Maspeth is out of the range of most people. That's
Yeah.
not the easiest venue to get to. Feels like you're in the suburbs kind of when you get out over there.
Yeah. That's yeah, it seems a little random.
It's more to Long Island than, vibe than Queens, I guess. I don't know. It's not
For,
very city like.
Why is it called the Knockdown Center?
I don't know. I mean, I think it might have had some affiliation with boxing at some point.
Oh, I was like, did they knock it down and rebuild it or like
I don't know. The cool venue though. There's a lot of. I went there on Halloween to see the Black Lips and the Spits, and there was a lot of
oh wow.
little side rooms, and they had for Halloween they had like 30 different cover bands doing all kinds of Ramones cover band, Misfits, Breeders. Like every room had different cover bands at all. It was kind of like a mini festival.
wow.
That's so fun.
Yeah,
I'm like, I
but
want to
going
go.
out on Halloween not so fun.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't do anything on Halloween.
Last Halloween I got shot at for the first time in my life.
Shut up.
Yeah, I
Where?
went to see Guar at Irving Plaza. Not and if you've ever been to a Guar show, they shoot fake blood and semen at you the whole show.
Oh,
That's very harmless. But I leave the show and I'm walking home on 13th Street, and all of a sudden I hear gunshots behind me, and I see like the flash of things ricocheting and things, and
oh
the
my,
cops are on the loudspeakers going, "Get in, seek shelter,"
oh
shelter
my.
in place.
Shit.
So I kind of like ducked into this luxury building's lobby and hid out with the doorman and a bunch of people. And then after a while, I literally just ran home. I didn't know if the shooter was still actively on the loose, but I wanted to get out of there and not be trapped in a weird building lobby.
Did they ever find out who it was?
Yeah, it didn't make much news, but it was somebody that sought out somebody specifically and shot them in their. I think the guy was
Oh.
sitting in his car when he was shot.
Oh, did he get done?
Died. No, I don't believe so.
Good.
Damn.
But I definitely looked it up the next day. I was like, "Who the hell was shooting at me?" And it wasn't big news. It was like as if nothing happened. But for that area, there's not a lot of shootings that I've ever heard
Yeah,
of.
that's so strange.
Yeah, so it was a little bit with trepidation. I went out this year on Halloween.
I feel like you know about all these events. How do you know about like everything happening always?
Well, here's the thing. There's like a whole underground network in New York City of people that know how to find anything they need for free.
And you're
And
one of those?
I spent some time on, let's just say undercover, among the community. And, in this city, you can pretty much live for free. There's ways, and the people in the community go to every event. And if you go to enough events, you'll be able to know in the crowd who's supposed to be there and who's not.
And then when you see me there, you're like, she's not supposed to be here.
Well, I think there's not enough free drinks at a punk show for them to even show up, but they'll show up to every art gallery, everything. But they know where there's free concerts. That's a whole other Whole
Right.
other thing. There was a website called My Free Concert, and that's where I've met a lot of people that are able to find ways to get into almost any show for free. And they taught me the secrets.
Yeah, I feel like you were you I don't know if you were actually at that show or you were you at the like Rolling Stones one with Lady Gaga?
That's a mysterious event as well. I heard they were playing in my neighborhood, and I ran over there, but it was the same night as the Beth's show. So I got there a
Oh,
little late, so I didn't get in. Uh,
damn.
but there was these women on the street. All these people were like crying and sobbing because they couldn't get in. And then these two women came out with a set list. And everyone was like clamoring to get a picture with it. I didn't care. I'm not a set list poser.
Yeah.
But they go, "Sir, would you like to pose with it?" And I go, "Why not? Just for the fun of the moment." And
Nice.
so I posted that. So a lot of people thought that I went to see the Rolling Stones, but in reality, they had just played, and I was posing with a set list.
So you just missed them.
Just missed them.
Damn.
The
But I
next,
did
the
get a
next
gift
best
bag.
thing.
Yeah. They only played 6 songs with Lady Gaga and stuff. I don't know. It was an industry thing. I got the gift bag though. That's what counts,
Wait,
really.
what was in it? Any good stuff?
There's a Rolling Stones hat, a Rolling Stones t-shirt, and a tote bag. That's about it. But I'll take it.
Lame. No.
Yeah.
There was no guitar, no Strat in there.
Damn.
Frank, have you ever had we actually talked about this with Brad in the last episode, but have you ever had any particular disasters like on stage that might be
That's a good one.
yeah.
Age disasters.
Or have you had a clean sweep? Have you been a clean slate?
I mean, not in the Unlovables, so I'll absolve myself of that. But there have been other bands I've been in where, let's say, there was a lot of pre-show drinking,
Oh, yeah.
and I may or may not have played the whole show, not ever having been plugged into the amp.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
I think that happened once or twice, but that was, the way of that band was more of
It
a
was more
party.
visual, you know.
Yeah, it was more the visual.
That's I can't. That's amazing. Oh my God.
That was the only perfect show I've ever played. Not one mistake. First time.
I'm shocked that that's actually never happened to me. But has it happened to you?
I mean, I've kicked my cord out a bunch of times.
Yeah. Only guitarist, there was other people playing, and it was more of a symphony of sounds, and my crummy guitar wasn't missed too much, I guess. I'm sure as many performers have noticed, in punk bands especially, that the fans don't notice,
Yeah.
I've played some of my worst shows where I come off a stage like embarrassed, and then people are like, "Oh my God, you were amazing." And I'm like, "Really? Are your earplugs that good?"
Seriously. I've
You
been
know what I
there.
mean? You make a few
Yeah.
mistakes, and if you obsess about them, it's going to derail the whole set. But if you just keep moving forward, generally most of the audience doesn't really pay attention to those details. They're there in the energy of it and love as a fan. Probably people that don't like you would notice more. Like, wow, that guy's really sounding out of tune or something.
He messed up again. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always hate breaking strings because that's like, oh, the flop sweat. Being in a punk band, you don't often have a second guitar around. So
Have you had to do that, Frank? Restring on like while you're playing?
I've done that before. But generally the
That's
move.
like trying to disarm like a bomb, like
Yeah,
everyone's
you're-
watching and you're against the clock and you're trying to just
Oh,
like cut
I've
the
just
string.
kept playing.
Yeah.
Everyone's hearing all this, and yeah, it's bad. But usually you can just ask one of the other bands. But sometimes if you're playing one of these punk shows where the bands don't even know or care about each other. You ever been on one of those bills
Yeah.
where they're thrown together? So as anyone plays, they just leave because there's
Yeah.
no supporting.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh, we're headlining tonight, and there's no guitars left in the house.
Yeah,
So
because everyone took the gear and left. It's like,
yeah.
thanks, guys.
That kind of stuff has happened a few times. I've left a Les Paul in Michigan. That's a good
What?
country.
How'd you do
Good
that?
title for a country song, but I just, it was probably had too many beers after the show, cash in your drink tickets. And I think it was one of those, I thought my band member was going to
Grab it.
unload guitars. And yeah, we got to the next location and it was gone.
Oh no.
Uh,
Did someone have it? Was it still at the venue?
yeah, the sound guy grabbed it. But, there's that moment of panic. It's kind of
Fuck.
a sentimental guitar. My dad gave it to me when I was 18. So it was kind of like a memento. I hate to lose it. The other guitars are just replaceable, but that one, I hate to lose.
Glad someone grabbed it.
Yeah.
I know you always hear these like horror stories, like someone's
Or gear getting
van was
stolen.
van was broken
Yeah.
into. They lost like, vintage amps and like guitars, and it's like, oh
Yeah, that's never happened to you guys, Frank. I feel like.
In Oregon, in Portland, on our first tour, we always, made a habit of bringing everything in. When
yeah,
we haven't stayed in many hotels, so we usually stay in somebody's house in the burbs or whatever. You park on the street, in a suburb of a city, and we always make sure we bring the gear in. But wasn't my gear, but something got stolen from the van in Portland. It was a big brouhaha because I think it was like the band's money was in the bag so that was in our early days, and these things happen.
You live and you learn.
Totally, just bring everything in every night, kids.
bring it all
Don't
in.
leave anything exposed.
If it seems like a chore at the time, we could just leave.
Yeah,
It's like it's going to be so much worse when you wake up. I got to get something from the car or whatever, and you're like,
yeah, like time to set up a GoFundMe, I
Yeah.
guess, because you lost all your money too.
then everybody's playing Squires for that night's gig.
Yeah,
They just scraped together
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
they had.
Yeah. There's no more Rosewood. It's poor Pharaoh.
It's Will Ferrell on guitar.
I just heard a story about a band. I guess bands that live abroad will just sometimes just buy cheap equipment when they land and then just like, crate amps or whatever. And I'm talking about like punk bands and stuff. And then at the end of the tour, just like sell it at the show. Like who wants to buy an amp for $100, that costs 150,
That's smart.
That's an
yeah.
interesting one. Yeah.
Wait, Frank, do you have any like crazy stories? Like, I don't even know if you would, but like, I'm thinking about like, just like back in the day talking to like Ronnie and Roy from like the Muffs and them telling me about how like Kim used to be like, back in the day, she would get like wild on tour. And once she like threw a TV out the window of their
Oh, yeah.
hotel in LA or
I
something.
feel like the Muffs probably have the best rock and roll stories
I
in the
know.
whole scene, and I was friends with Ronnie the most because he was married to Lisa Marr, a friend of mine from the band Cub, for a moment. So spent a lot of time chatting with Ronnie over the years, but I love all three Muffs. I was always, very sadly, I was always kind of intimidated by the force of rock and roll energy that is Kim Shattuck. So I never really said anything but highs and thank yous and great show,
Oh,
I wish I'd
man.
like broken through to make that effort, and
Yeah.
it is one of my regrets. Even the last show they played, my favorite band in the world is the Smugglers. Let's get that off the table here. So I flew out for the Smugglers reunion show a few years back, and I think it was the Muffs' last show ever.
Yes, it was.
If I'd known at the time, I was sitting there in a hot dog shop. They were doing a Q&A, and all these punk rock luminaries, Larry Livermore and Nardwuar, the Human Serviette. Everybody was in this little place and sat in a booth with, Ronnie and I believe Kim. And I was just like, oh, what do I say to her? Having no idea that she'd be gone a few years later. It's just
crazy.
Devastated me to the point where I haven't been able to listen to the last Muffs record. I have
Me
it on
either.
on the entryway along with that other released album of, I guess, the demos that she recorded.
Mhm.
I have those both on my entryway sealed, and I see them,
Yeah.
20 times a day, but I've never cracked them open. And I think I'm getting to the point where I could do it, without breaking down, sobbing. So
Yeah. Fuck, man. I know that the whole thing was so crazy, and I mean, just Kim passing and how she's such a badass that she didn't want fucking anyone to know. Mind you, like maybe like 3 months before she passed, I was messaging with Ronnie, and I was like, "Can you guys come back to New York? We just moved to the Upper West Side. It's really nice. We'll have you guys over for dinner." And like he's like, "Yeah," just trying to like shut me up basically. And I didn't know. So, and then like 3 months later, and like as soon as the news came out, I get a message from Ronnie, and he's like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't say anything. Like Kim,
yeah,
didn't want anyone to know." And the same, I talked to Roy as well, on the phone, and he was, told me everything, but that she didn't want it. That's not what she wanted to be known for, and
yeah, and
I
that thing it just hit us both harder because it came out of nowhere.
yeah, but she was like she was the easiest person to talk to. It's so funny because like you would see her persona on stage, and she's literally like not when she's singing, but when she talks on she's like the exact same person, and she's almost like a little bit like dorky. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like she's
I didn't
so
get that part, because I never
yeah,
saw
it's just so she was so funny, and I remember just being like, "Oh my God, she's just like a normal person." Like I remember the show when you had to leave early because you had a colonoscopy,
yeah,
and I had I had everyone turn around and show their butts for a
one of my
photo.
treasured pictures. They're all pointing at
Yeah,
their
everyone's pointing at their ass, and we fucking. I was like, guys, say cheese. Frank's getting a colonoscopy.
beloved, beloved.
Kim's like, who's Frank? But
That is a keeper.
that
That is a
photo,
keeper of a
right?
photo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. But we went back. I think they played 2 nights, and we went the next night, and Paul got to meet her,
Yeah,
and
it was crazy. Abby introduced her to
they were
me.
like, yeah, they were like, "Oh, Kim wants to see you backstage or whatever." So we were like brought backstage,
When
and
we were all at Monty Hall together at that show, or
what was the other
that was
place in Brooklyn?
Bell House.
Bell House. Yeah, it was the Bell House.
Okay.
And it was so funny because I was talking to Kim, and then I was like, "This is Paul," and like she like met him, and she talked to him for a couple of minutes, and she's like, "He's a keeper." Like it was just so cute, and I could tell like she whenever I would see her, she was like, "I just feel like I'm watching you grow up. It's like so amazing, like just the history." And it was just like I feel like once she was like, "He's a keeper," I was like, "Okay, like we're good." Like and then we got engaged, and I was like, "You know what? Kim Shattuck called you a keeper, so like we're gonna get married. That's
Guess
it."
I got to keep you.
And she doesn't vouch for just anyone.
Yeah.
She was super cool. Seeing them live, the drumming was insanely good. Roy and Ronnie, I loved his bass playing style, and I loved his sweaters. I was like, what a cool thing. Like, I kept telling this to Abby, and I was like, I can't get over it. Like, what a cool thing to think of. Like, you know what I'm going to do on stage? Like, I'm going to wear like a sweater or whatever and play a few songs, and then I'll like, it's almost like he had it all planned out. He takes that off, and then he had something else on. I don't know if he took something else off, but like, it was so cool because I was watching it as well. I'm like, he must be so hot playing in this fucking sweater. Like, how is he even doing it? But it looks so cool. Like,
He's the epitome of cool.
yeah.
He
You ever see
reminds
those videos from his like apartment too? He has all these collectibles and stuff. I think it was like a web series for a while.
Really?
Things from Ronnie's apartment.
I feel like. Oh, was it? Because I feel like no, actually, I don't think I've seen them. Does he still work at the record store?
I think so, but I haven't seen him post about it lately as
What
much.
was it called again? Iguana, the
It's
big
not
one in.
Amoeba.
Yeah, Amoeba.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. He's worked at this record store like his whole life.
That's where Dogstar just did a thing with Amoeba.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
always have performances and stuff. But I thought it was
Really
so
cool record
cool. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
dude just like works at the record store, like, and he like tours with. Remember that band he toured with, Vis Queen, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the members of the Fastbacks was in that. And
Yeah.
I love that band.
They toured with the Muffs, too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. They played Maxwell's.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them a few times.
Pianos. They played too. Did
Are
you
you
ever?
gonna go through Letters to Cleo?
Nah. Honestly, like I don't love that album they're doing.
Okay.
Aurora, whatever.
Laura, Laura Glorialis.
Yeah, something. But I like the one after that. So it was like if they were doing like one of the albums I loved, I would go and just like suck it up. But it's going to
Yeah,
be insane. They also didn't come here last year.
yeah.
So I was just like, oh, if it was going to be like, the last time they came here, which was like, gosh, remember we saw them.
Yeah, we saw them. I don't remember what year that
That
was.
must have been like 2015. That was before we were married.
That was at Bowery Ballroom.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you were there.
I was there. I think Christian from
Yeah.
formerly of the Unlovables.
I feel like I was like texting you while we were at the show, but we were like in the middle of the crowd and you guys were in the back.
I
Maybe I
was in
saw
the
you at
back.
the end after. I don't remember, but um
Oh,
that one was awesome. I mean, but I feel like they're focusing on the album that I just don't love, and at this point I'm just like, do I
gotta
really
pick and
want
choose
to?
your battles.
Yeah, that's it. That really is it. Especially if I'm going to 3 concerts this week, okay? Are you going?
I am not. I'm going to be seeing a comedy show that night.
Is that anyone good?
Well, somebody great,
Great.
but not for everybody. But Neil Hamburger.
Who the fuck is that? Is that his
Uh,
Is that his
great
last name, like in real life?
no, it's more of, a performance art character,
Okay.
basically. It's hilariously funny.
Really? Neil Hamburger?
Yeah. I mean, he basically billed himself as like the world's worst stand-up ever. He holds like 6 cocktail glasses in his arm at once and shakes and pours all the booze all over his pants and stuff. And it's quite a scene.
Sounds rowdy.
Consider like anti-comedy. That's what the professors call it out there.
Damn, you're going to anti-comedy over Letters to Cleo? I am
I don't have time for
shocked.
comedy. I go right to anti-comedy.
You can't pass anti-comedy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do go to a lot of concerts, but I do love me some Neil Hamburger. And I don't know that album from Letters to Cleo. I was just wondering. I know you're a fan too, so
Well, the one hit from that was here and now, here and now. That's not really. I don't know what she's saying, so I'm saying.
well, I'm not going to that show now. Now I was the nail in the coffin. If that's what that sounds like, I'm glad to be at Neil Hamburger. That's anti-music. That's not even.
That was like there was like one or 2 hits on that record, and they were like decent, but they're not as good as the album after. Oh my god,
That's just looping in my head now.
Yeah.
I gotta play you the song after. You're gonna crack up. But well, Neil Hamburger, I'm gonna have to look that up. We're gonna have to do some research on the Hamburglar tonight.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of, the actor that plays the role of Neil Hamburger, Greg Turkington, is also in part of the Tim and Eric universe of comedy, which is also a bit of anti-comedy, I guess, if that's a term of art these days.
I feel like I should do like book a stand-up comedy set, and then if it's awesome, I can be the next stand-up star, and if it bombs, I'll just say it was anti-comedy.
That is a plan,
Is
Paul.
that right? That's a win-win.
Yeah. You're like, no, I was going for this Andy Kaufman kind of thing.
Yeah.
You weren't
We were-
supposed to laugh.
We were
That's
going
not-
for Jimmy Hamburgers, you know?
Yeah. I nailed it.
We were going to Brother Jimmy's barbecue, and on the way. So stupid.
See, that's the caliber.
Oh,
of,
we're not
this
even
is the,
high.
This is the caliber of entertainment that
Jeez.
Frank has got himself into.
Frank, so what do you think about? Have you been having fun on our podcast?
Yeah, it's really fun. It's like I'm
Really?
hanging out with you guys, which I don't get to do enough. So
I know, man. Why you play us?
Uh,
It's like we don't
We-
leave the house.
We were like 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's hang out with Frank, and then let's just say it's a podcast as well.
yeah, there we go.
That's what it feels like.
Well, I feel like that's kind of been the theme of our of the podcasts in general, like not having too like stiff of a upper lip,
Yeah.
uppercut.
Not
Yeah.
like the
And also, we like to I feel like anyone can can have the mic. You know what I mean? Like, it's obviously the focus is on Frank,
But
and
obviously
Abby
the focus is on
doing a lot
me.
of talking. But then I can just come in as well. It's like I like that. It's like anyone can just like say, "Oh, I've got a story." It's
Here and now. Here and now. You guys don't know that song?
I mean, I know it now.
Here and
I don't know if I
now?
know the correct version, but
Now I never want to hear it again. I mean,
Well, what I was trying to say was
do
that.
you remember that guy Scatman John?
Wait, are you kidding? You just cut me off. Like I
You
cut
do
you
that
off
all the
every
time.
time, but you did it to me, and you get so mad at me when I do it.
But I was excited, like Scatman John. Maybe like he just invented this thing, and it's like, and suddenly it's number one. Like that could be that.
man, John, is that?
Yeah, do you remember him? Frank
remember that
Scatman
name.
John.
No, it's Lil Wayne.
Scatman John had like this big song called what was it? I'm the Scatman. I'm the Scatman.
Like a 90s thing.
Yeah, it was like a 90s like dance
Oh, like
thing
the song
with this old jazz guy. Yeah,
That's the song?
that's the song. That's Scatman John.
Oh,
I
really?
would definitely say to anyone out there, do not Google Scatman John or Scatman or whatever, because weird stuff pops up. But
Oh yeah.
if you look on Spotify, because apparently we didn't even want
Why
to go
are you
there. I'm
Googling
just saying.
Scatman?
Because that's his name, Scatman John. He says he's the inventor of scat, but unfortunately, scat has a double meaning in a very, this is another world. We don't need to. We don't go there.
Yeah.
But don't Google that on your work computer like I did.
Oh no.
But yeah. So anyway, but now that you've learned from my lessons, why was I saying all this?
Scatman John.
Yeah, it reminded me of something. I'm sorry, Abby. I totally cut you off with that completely pointless side.
It sounded like she was scatting.
It sounded like she was scatting. That was it.
That's
Thank
it.
you, Frank. The
It's hard to
connector.
believe that he'd be the inventor of scat, but I mean,
Yeah,
I thought
wasn't
that went
scat
back-
from like
He had a stutter, but he said, and he says in his lyrics, the Scatman. People always ask me why the Scatman stutters, but he doesn't stutter when he sings. That's one of his verses.
Oh, I've heard stutterers don't stutter when they sing, so that
It's educational.
adds up. It checks out. I know Scatman Crothers, but that's a whole other story.
Did you say apple cobbler?
Scatman Crothers, I said. Different Scatman.
I feel like this is what
Frank, have you got any cool? I know Abby was saying you have all these awesome like story. Obviously, you've been to so many bands and like, seen so many cool people. Do you have any
top concert ever.
Well, I mean, I see a lot of shows. So it's hard to
Concerts.
really
We call them concerts.
concerts. Yes,
Frank was about to say it's hard to
Totally.
pick one, weren't you, Frank?
Hard to pick one, but I think if you really, if I had to pick one as a gun to my head, and the way these robbers are, they always put a gun to your head and then they go, "What's your top concert?" That's the first thing to kill you. So I would say that Smuggler's show with the Muffs being their last show, and Chicks Dig It, another of my favorite bands, and just having so many friends in the audience, and it was a magical kind of night. So I think that would probably be the closest to the number one show.
Nice.
What about you, Paul? Do you have a favorite concert you've ever been to
A favorite like concert just in general?
that like just stands out? Do you want me to go first?
You go first. Yeah.
So usually I would probably say the first time I ever saw the Muffs, which was actually the first time I ever met Frank.
Yes.
In
Isn't that true?
I would say that because at that show I definitely like met them, and like that's how like my relationship with the band started, as becoming friends, etc. But I gotta say the first one that pops out is the Strokes and the White Stripes at Radio City Music Hall.
That's a good double bill.
Oh my God. It was I think I was 17. And it was so fun. Me and my best friends went, and everyone, it was like, usually like shows at Radio City are all like seated. Everyone was dancing in the aisles. Like it was so much fun. It was that I'll never forget that. And I remember being that age and just being like, I'm in New York. Like, this is where I want to live. Like, this is what like, it was just such an epic New York moment.
Oh
And,
yeah,
fucking amazing show. White Stripes blew it out of the park. The Strokes blew it out. Like, they were amazing.
they were at the peak of their powers then, I
That's
guess.
it. I mean, we traveled to see them too. We saw the White Stripes at the Orpheum Theater in Boston. We saw the Strokes there too, not together. Two different shows. Like, we one time we saw the Strokes in Boston and Julian Casablancas. It's like the Red Sox suck. Wait, is it the Red Sox? Yeah, right. Boston Red
Yeah.
Sox. Yeah,
Oh,
and the whole theater started booing him, and then they wouldn't stop until he apologized.
Really?
It was crazy. Yeah, people
yeah.
got like, I was just like,
Austin takes that shit seriously.
it was so crazy. I was there when we were just in high school. Like, we went with our dads to look at colleges, me and my friend Rachel. And me and Rachel had gone, and yeah, it was so crazy. We were just like, what is going on? And at the time, I don't think we even knew about the whole like Red Sox, how that's like Boston. You know what I mean? Like, they take it so seriously, blah, blah, blah. So we were just so confused. And we're like, why is everyone being like so psychotic? Like, also, he was like being sarcastic, joking, you know, like, but nope, can't joke about that shit there.
Damn.
No,
It was crazy. But that was definitely, whenever I think of my favorite show ever, like, that's number one. Definitely. Do you have one, Paul?
It's so funny. This whole time I wasn't even paying attention to you because I was in my head going, "What is your favorite show? What is your favorite show? What is your favorite show?" And I'm like, I saw when the Police reunited and did that world tour. They played in Western Springs in Auckland, and Sting's bass sounded fucking awesome. Like, he normally is like very like, you know, hasn't changed the strings in a year or something and all that kind of stuff. But man, I love the Police. It was so funny. I was wearing this like sleeveless denim jacket that my dad used to own, and I wore it. And on it said like the Police in like, you know, 1980 something. And some guy tapped me on the shoulder, and he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, the gig was awesome, right?" He's like, "I saw your jacket. Were you there?" And I was like, "No, I would have been like 4 or something."
That's amazing.
I just remember like just being mesmerized. I was just like, every song was just like, "Oh my god, this is so good."
I loved the Police growing up. I never got to see them. Did you ever hear Stuart Copeland's side project, Clark Kent?
No.
It's a kind of a punky, new wavy kind of band. It's really fun.
Really,
You
gotta check that
look it
out.
up. Yeah, it's great.
Stuart
They had one
Copeland.
song that charted, I think, called "Don't Care." It was like you know, I don't know. It was a different kind of sound, totally different than the Police, really.
I'll check that out.
What other old timey? Aren't you a Phil Collins fan, Paul?
Oh
Is
my
that the
gosh, yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Like
I wanted to go to that last tour. I remember Abby was like, "I'm not going to that." Didn't you say that?
Oh yeah, Abby didn't want to go. I had tickets. Abby didn't want to go, so I went. Oh no, obviously he's getting older, and you know, like he's got some like ailments and things. But like,
Yeah.
to me, I just couldn't believe it. I was like there listening, and like I just got that vibe. I mean, I think Phil Collins is probably the first cassette tape that I owned. Was my first tape. I think it was Something Happened on the Way to Heaven was like the single. You remember they called it a kiss single?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I remember listening to that song. It's so funny now because when I go back, the bass on it is so good. But at the time, I didn't know what any of the instruments were really. I was
Yeah.
just like, wow, I really like this. There's this one Phil Collins album. If I can't sleep, I always listen to it. It's like so calming. I've listened to it since I was a kid. It's
Oh,
called
really?
it's like called it's Genesis. Sorry, Genesis Live the Shorts. And it's
Oh,
I
okay.
think from like 1991 or something. But it's just like these live versions of Genesis songs.
It brings a calm over you just because it's
Yeah.
familiarity.
I remember being like a kid in bed with my like Toshiba walk, not even a real Walkman, Sony, a Toshiba whatever, you know, like cassette player, and like I would just listen to that, and like for some reason now it just takes me back. I can just put it on, and then I kind of feel like everything's all right again, you know.
That's powerful. I need that.
Yeah. I bet you've got some of those. Do you have any
Of
go-tos,
course.
Frank, like that?
I guess like if I put on like Neil Young, Harvest Moon, that takes me to a calmer time and place.
Nice.
One of the calmer things I got into back in college. Before that, I thought like anything associated with Crosby, Stills, and Nash would be lame, but I am a big Neil Young fan.
That's awesome.
Beatles.
Oh, Abby, but what Beatles? Any Beatles?
Only the last song ever recorded that came out last week.
Right? Just that.
That one's so good.
So good. We were loving, like, I went so crazy on the day that came out. Frank, I went to like the Dakota and took a photo, and I was just like,
Oh, really?
like took a few photos, and we're just like, this is where, John recorded the vocals for the last big Beatles song came out today. And we were getting really into it. Abby was getting into it. We, watching the Beatles channel with like
That little short film.
yeah,
Is that?
that short film. Yeah.
See, I wasn't raised a big Beatles fan. I obviously respect them and know all the material that's easy to access, but I didn't think I would be moved by this song so much. But when I first heard it and I watched a little film of Paul working with Peter Jackson and all that, it was quite emotional to hear that
Yeah.
voice from the afterlife of sorts of John Lennon. And I don't know, I found it very moving.
Yeah. It was so emotional. We were kind of annoyed though. Do you ever watch Rick Beato?
It's a YouTube channel.
He's like a big YouTube guy, and like he does guitar videos, and now he does interviews.
He
He's
like dissects songs as well.
He's
and
got like perfect pitch, and
Yeah.
he'll like
Oh, I've seen him around. Yeah.
And normally
Looking
we're
at
like
it now.
really big fans, and then I don't know.
what happened? He had not good
He
words
didn't.
to say.
He listened to the new Beatles song, and he was kind of just saying, "Oh, maybe they should have just like." Not like it was something. It was such a bummer, his video.
Yeah.
That after that, I like was just like I removed his videos from my like suggestions. And, like, I didn't unsubscribe from it because obviously everyone can have their opinions. But I just said, do not show me like these videos. Like I'm like I need to take a time out with Rick Beato
He was punished.
Yeah.
because I just feel like he was so like it just seemed. I felt like he was trying to be the musician and go because he thought the keyboards were too compressed. He thought the snare and like who gives a
Just
fuck?
look at it. It's fucking amazing
fucking
what they
John
did.
Lennon,
They
you know what I
brought
mean?
this back to life.
Yeah, and it's like he's talking. People are like focusing on the production. Oh, it was too polished. I was just like, honestly, who gives a fuck? Like, talk about you turn around. The world's on fire. Here's a gift from the heavens, and just fuck. Be grateful. You know what I mean? Like, at least be appreciative of something. You can turn over onto the news to see the world on fire. You don't have to set fire to that as well. So I don't know. After that, I was like, you know what?
I guess I think that was like in such a like crazy time. It was like a just like almost like magical moment, and he tried to kill
For
it.
somebody to shit on this moment that everyone's experiencing
And we were we weren't having it. We stopped the video as soon as he started
As
going
soon
down
as
the
we
road.
saw it was like negative, I was like, "Fuck
we
this
were like,
guy!"
Get the fuck out of here! Like,
Yeah, I turn on people like that if their opinion doesn't align on something like.
they go into timeout. Yeah.
It's also like you should feel like grateful. You know what I mean? That we have this like there's one last unreleased Beatles song we get to like enjoy it.
That's
like,
the thing. And
like what were they just supposed to leave it and not release it? He wanted it to stay underground.
He's exactly. Just like
That's backwards.
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, here's some joy that we could release into the world. And no, actually, you know what? Let's keep that in the vault. Because I don't know. Some muso might think that the keyboards are too compressed or something. Like, it's just like
No, it's amazing. And watching, like
the
even
video.
watching them in the studio, like, all of them, like when they're older, like coming back together. Paul, Ringo, and
I was
George.
definitely crying watching that.
Yeah,
Like
it
that.
That was the video with Peter Jackson, right? I'm not sure which one I watched, but it was.
Did you watch the one
minutes.
where they brought John Lennon back and it's like them and their old self working on the
Oh
songs?
no, I didn't see that.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
It's
more
very
of, like how
emotional.
it got made kind of thing on it.
Also, it's them coming back together after like such a like, kind of just like negative fallout kind of impression, and seeing them just kind of come together and working on it, and it was just really magical and
It's just
incredible.
crazy, but like what Peter Jackson was able to do because it has like George Harrison playing his parts in 1995, but then it has like then it has the George Harrison like standing next to him, like literally looks like he's in the room from wearing his Sergeant Pepper's gear. It's just like it's crazy.
I'm a big George. George was my favorite Beatle. I don't know.
Abby's a big George fan.
Yeah, I remember when George Harrison died, we were in high school and me and my friends all are like crying at the lunch table, wearing Beatles shirts and just like, yeah. I was a big fan of George, but I feel like as I got older and like got more into songwriting, I really like John Lennon, amazing, but like Paul McCartney, just I feel like even seeing the thing last Thanksgiving, and you just see like Paul McCartney desperately trying to like keep the band together, and I don't know, I just felt like I could really relate to that. Like you could see like John Lennon is fucking showing up late if he even shows up, or like on drugs, like fucking whips out a bag of heroin like while they're there and stuff, and like George Harrison's trying to like put in his some idea of something like very like out of the ordinary. And then like Ringo's just like there. He's just eager to just do whatever is asked of him. Like he seems really, I don't know. But seeing like Paul McCartney just like so desperately trying to like keep the band together and keep everything going. I felt like it was really a relatable feeling for anyone who's ever like led a band.
Yeah.
Or been like a close knit member of a band, because trying to keep a band together is like, it's crazy. So many different personalities. Like, you start out one way and other people like want to have a say, or, just, it's just very interesting seeing all of that. And, I just felt like I really felt for Paul McCartney, and I like, just have like I feel like probably in the past like 10 years have a like whole new appreciation for Paul McCartney, one that I never had. Just like his songwriting, everything. Like John Lennon was amazing, total hero, but like Paul McCartney was like, he was not just like creatively amazing, he was also really 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 talented at like everything he did.
Yeah.
He's another one of those like
Definitely
multi-instrumentalists, like can do everything.
Yeah, I think, because I wasn't raised with the Beatles so much.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a Frank Sinatra kind of household.
Gotcha.
But I was, speaking of rock and roll weirdos, I became obsessed with Roy Orbison.
Oh, yes.
Then when he joined the Traveling Wilburys, that introduced me to like, oh, George Harrison.
Yep.
And that's cool. And Dylan's in this. Oh, I'll get into that too, So I came through it in a weird back door through the Traveling Wilburys to become into George Harrison, like as my favorite Beatle.
That's so funny.
Doesn't make any sense, but
it doesn't.
Cool.
It doesn't. But it's actually a really cool story, because you're probably one of the only people who can really say that,
Yeah, I think some people think the Traveling Wilburys were just some kind of novelty or something, but to me, it was kind of magical to have all these legends together.
Hell yeah. The Idols. Wait, so my first concert ever was Roy Orbison when I was 2 years old.
What?
Yes, my parents, he played like on like an outdoor concert thing, and I was like 2, literally running around, like going up to random strangers, and I like totally grew up on Roy Orbison as well. So I love him.
The haunting voice, and
Yep.
he's such a unique looking
I know.
style and character. It struck a chord with me.
Yes, I love that. I feel like it's funny because I feel like my mom's music interests vary so much. Like, I feel like like the stuff my mom was like. She so she really loved also like ELO. Grew up listening to that, like the Bee Gees.
Yeah,
like it's
a lot of the Wilburys kind of sound. You
Yeah,
got Flynn, Tom Petty.
So it was really cool. I feel like being exposed to all of that at such a young, even like I remember going to sleepaway camp when I was literally 7 years old, and everyone there had like oh my God, what CDs did they have? I don't know, but the only one I had was The Who, Tommy. And I was obsessed. We had seen the play on Broadway twice. I was so obsessed with the album, and everyone thought I was so weird because that was the only. It wasn't even a CD. This was cassette. So we're talking a long time ago, but yeah, like everyone had like more current music and, and I was like showed up with the Who Tommy album. I'm like, yeah, listen to the French horns. Like, and everyone's just like, what the fuck is wrong with this girl?
Yeah,
So,
that's a true rock and roll weirdo story.
right?
That's funny because remember people say that American Idiot was really heavily influenced by Tommy.
Was it?
Yeah, and then it made
That's the
Tommy
rock
like
opera, right?
I've never even heard Tommy. I'll be honest.
You haven't?
No.
Oh my God. God, I know like the whole album from front to back, instrumentals, like
Watch the movie.
the movie. Yeah, the movie's a little disturbing, but
Yeah, it's
but
wild.
it is. But even the play is also disturbing. I don't think I really like realized what was actually going on in the play or movie, whatever. At the time, I just like the music was so good. I was like, "That's so good." And now it's like, whoa, this is actually really fucked up. This guy is like so traumatized that he doesn't talk, and he's a pinball. He
Damn.
just plays pinball. He's like really good at pinball.
Oh, is he the pinball wizard?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a film. I mean, it's almost
It
like a
is.
horror film.
It is. You should see it, Paul. We should watch it.
I think in the movie, Elton John's the pinball wizard.
Oh, speaking of, you guys are talking about trashing hotel rooms and things. Keith Moon, right? Didn't he have a reputation
yeah.
for
Oh my God, yeah.
rearranging furniture
Him and John Bonham.
and just,
Yep. They were crazy.
So we just wanted to say thank you so much, man, for doing the podcast. And
Thank you, Frank.
And we wanted to just check in with you. Do you have anything you wanted to plug?
Anything coming up?
Anything coming up, or just anything interesting?
My alter ego, I'm a food loving maniac. I used to be a food writer. So if anyone wants to follow my eating adventures, at Iron Snacks, SNAX, IRONSNAX on Instagram, come along with me and see what kind of crap I'm eating.
Awesome.
It does look good most of the time. But
Awesome.
you posted something today that was like something with like cream filled, but like pineapple flavored cream or something.
Oh, the pineapple bun. Yeah, it was like a
Ugh,
custard Chinese
Yuck.
bun.
Why they gotta fuck with it? Why you gotta incorporate pineapple? And like, why can't it just be normal cream?
I'd try that.
You would try that.
It's just like shaped like a pineapple. What do you?
Oh, it's not flavored pineapple?
Oh, it's just like it's called pineapple bun because it's like looks like a pineapple.
Oh, okay. That makes so much more sense. Even though Paul would be stoked. I don't like pineapple, except
As long
pina
as it's not on my
coladas.
pizza. I don't like it on my pizza, but that's about it.
I feel like I'll put on my crash helmet as I announce this. I love a good pineapple on pizza, like Hawaiian.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I got into it. It's like a bad habit.
It's not a bad habit. It's just not pizza.
I know it's not pizza, but it can be. You know what I mean? I've seen pizzas with
But then that's not pizza. It's like that's
pears. I'd rather that than a pizza
Yeah.
with pears.
yeah. There's when I do break it down, if you ever go to Pizza Suprema by MSG, it's a well-known slice place right by where the Tempest used to be.
our old stomping grounds.
Yeah, but they have a pizza that's like fig bacon or something like that. So it has the same sweet, salty kind of
Yeah.
as pineapple ham. And I could get behind it sometimes, but
You have
gotta
to be
be
in the
at
right space.
the right number of beers. Yeah.
See, I feel like if I'm gonna have pizza, I'm just gonna have regular pizza. But I also don't even like anything on my pizza. So lame.
Ugh,
I'm a big pepperoni.
Boring.
Like pepperoni is just like
Nah.
my jam.
Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it.
oh, I love it.
Don't like it. It's gross.
Well, let's go for a pizza soon.
Yeah, let's all get some pizza. Catch up.
Rain, a little pepperoni, a little pineapple for you,
Yeah.
Paul.
That's it. PPP.
Some pineapple bun cream for Abby. Oh, thank you so much, Frank.
No,
This was
thanks for
fun.
having me. I feel honored to be a rock and roll weirdo.
We love it. And
It was such a good episode.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We're
you.
so excited. This is going to be awesome.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
We'll
have
talk
a
to you
good
soon.
night.
Love ya. Bye.
Love ya.
I love
Love
you.
ya.